Yo, man, this is it. Let's get into it. The name is Yakim, Master Builder, Ubavula Kuvaliwe, and welcome to, guys. No, you guys are wild sometimes. Welcome to Ephondweni Podcast. Yeah, man, it's beautiful. We just came through from the national shutdown. Scares before that and whatnot, but then I'm not alone. I'm with the certified gatekeeper.
Hey, what up?
Yeah, welcome to it, man. We're doing it. It's another special edition because we had to change dates.
Yes.
This is the Shutdowns because those needs to abantu. You know,
after anyway.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
And you know, talking about the cow, and I was thinking about, just being a cow. Well, this other day.
Do you know I actually had that thought as well?
You know, like I was thinking being a cow is like really unfair. Like think about it, you are a cow and then you can only have elfele unalo. Like awuna choice yoba okay, ndifuna gushi like like okay, like I don't like McD's. I like
you are McD's.
Yeah, but there's nothing else. You've never tasted alcohol. You've never been tipsy. You've never been high.
And your lifespan is not. It's up to other people how long you live.
And then now there's gonna come these people and come and say Bafuna wena because Bafunu Kapa, this other dude that you never knew and had no relationship with. So they need
in the sense that kufuneka izawufika masitraka yami nenkomo iyehlise iyobotshelwe lapha, and I'm thinking naturally kudala you would have committed a crime for about kubotshwa intambo around you uyobotshelwa endaweni ethile ntoni so uya already uyabona amehla inhloko ijonge phansi ntoni into yonke laa nto uyayazi why this is happening to you, but this cow has no idea.
It's like, what happened? What did I do?
Sendilapha nje.
And these guys, they want you to cry so that they can celebrate to Ekamaku.
Livumile, yes.
Yeah, but there was another thought. And then when I wrote that on Facebook, it got to, guy, we want your supply of weed. So maybe it started. It was high thought. Yes, high level of
thoughts
thinking.
Of the high.
Yo, but congratulations for Saturday, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, the show was beautiful, and I was in a unique position, and I got
to
meet
everyone.
Yeah, I met everyone who was at that show. Ongakhangani adibane nami athethe nami khanga esho.
Ungene ngeshaqo.
I was a gatekeeper. It was beautiful, and I love how you pushed everyone, to do their best musically, and I love how Mandlov is maturing.
Yes.
Just as an artist.
There's a lot that she's doing with Mandlovu.
Yes.
There's a lot. I mean, she's on XA. She's doing the drive time.
Yes.
And she just finished off from Yalezo. Obviously, she's leading her own band as well. She's part of All Strings Attached, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think there's a lot. She was part of the monologues. Actually, with Ulungela Maqamvana.
Nice.
So it's coming together well for her. And she's been wanting to focus on her art and so I think the stars have aligned and it's time for her to fly.
Yes, I had a conversation with her. She was saying about which was very stressful and that thing, responsibility at home and whatnot, but she felt like for her sanity, she just needed to free herself and just be about.
Yeah. I remember the day I heard that she quit. I was like, oh my God, what have we done? Yeah. Because she'd been asking me, but and I told her my story. And then she met Xolani Faku. Xolani Faku also sort of told her of how he is focusing on this full-time set himself up so that I was going to. And soon after that, Haibo, Sutu, gone from work, and that is it. So
it's scary uye kumsebenzi kule economy sikuyo.
Yes.
But it's fucking liberating.
But it's scarier not to live the fullness of your dreams as well. Yeah. So Nyalaza was a great success.
I was beautiful.
Great success. People enjoyed Wine 5 cents.
Hey, it's a 5 cents. It's a 5 cents. It's 5 cents.
10 cents. 5 cents is E2 to get 2 glasses of wine or 2 glasses
drink
of juice.
Your choice.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. 5 cents. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
No, people loved it. And, I think it was Kush Solomon who said to me, hey, currency, 5 cents. Now it's everything. Like, yes.
Everyone was looking for 5 cents. I'm like, guys, spend your 5 cents. Because beyond these boundaries.
I saw you finish it. 5 cents. Yeah, I know it was a nice one. I really enjoyed it.
It was beautiful.
And I'm also calmer now, thank God. Because, balike singqondo nto organizer.
Yes.
Balike singqondo. So it was really nice.
The rendition, the These Are the Times rendition. I think more than anything, if you're gonna cover a song, engaske capture the soul of that work. And I think he did that.
Exactly.
If you could evoke that, where the song was coming from, because songs are not just things that pop out of nowhere. Songs, they come from a really deep and special place.
Yeah, I know. He seemed to have understood the essence of the song, the spirit of the song. He seemed to have understood
he thinks of love from the same space, woman, to like the black struggle, not struggling in love, but like being black and in love with another black person.
I think he's really rooted in
black
in
and conscious.
Yes, in Africanness. It's beautiful to observe, the culture that we have, or the musical landscape, or the art, because it was commodified, it's something that you could sell. So you find that a lot of what the media embraces, especially it's music or art that doesn't really have the soul. And these kids, they don't aspire to be artists. They aspire for fame.
Exactly.
That's why they're willing to do everything or anything. That's why you would subject yourself to Big Brother, whatnot.
Because it's not about the art. It's not about the soul of the work that you put out there. And I don't know. I think somehow in the end, the media has forgotten of its power to influence. Yes. Rather now, I always feel whatever is popular is influenced by media. And we forget that power is within the media. Mhlawumbe khona into wrong with the people that are running the machine. Such that they don't take on the positivity that's out here and spread it out. Yes. Because if you played, like for instance, Opitology was playing just now before Siqali show. More, what do you call that kind of music? African?
It's African jazz. It's more on the what is it? It's Congolese type of jazz. Yes. Bokokoroko.
Yes. Kind of sound. And you find that there isn't a lot of that on radio. It has to be a specialty radio station that focuses on that. Exactly. And that's because the space that has the power to influence has sort of decided to not give direction to popular culture. Popular culture is not popular culture because ifike popular. Populariziwe by the media. And if we wanted to work on the state of mind of us as a people, we would first work on the state or on the depth of messaging that comes from our music. Because When Umsaki releases a house album, it's still a house album, but with positive messaging.
Yes.
Right? Tina, we don't even care for that. Why do we consistently play that on radio? We don't realize that we've got that power to control how people move. But there's this, they're always on a constant search for the new boy band. And you find that these record execs kusenziwa le album yale boy band. Well, when it starts that movie, a boy band has just baswelekile bebese plane crash and then kufunyanwa a new boy band, and now we need to make sure that these guys become popular, right? And popularity yabo has to go with a certain look, a certain doni, amagama thile kuyadecidwa ku office thile. And now here comes lengoma irekhodiwe, but there's an underlying message kulengoma. Right? So as you're listening to the song, you the rhythms and something that's whispered economy city, pink is the new black. All the teenage girls are running wild. Pink is the new black. Pink is the new black. And I'm like, I watched that thing and I was like, oh my God.
It's planned.
It's kind of true though. Like,
oh
that
my
happens,
God.
Yeah.
It's planned. And the Hebrews have this concept called, they talk about repetition. So it's Veshanantam Lipaneacham. So anything that you repeat over and over, it sticks in your mind. And most times, because it was repeated so many times, it's easier for you to think it's your identity. You assume it as your identity, not knowing that subconsciously this has been planted. So the minute we start understanding, or we start moving away rather from wanting to move with what's already popular or wanting to be relevant, once we remove ourselves from a need to be relevant and working for that relevancy, I think that's when you'll see authentic art. Because people who are authentic, they do themselves. They dig deep from themselves and they present something to the people. But now, we'll talk about what's trending. That's why you have on TV trending SA, which
dictating to us.
Just talks about what people were speaking about. They no longer now where what we speak about on these key platforms become the one that informs the social discourse. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
We're always checking. This is what Facebook is saying. This is what TikTok is saying. Hence what we spoke about the last time of it's easier to even embarrass your child because
numbers.
Guys.
Yeah.
Guys.
No, but otherwise it was a lovely one.
Where were you on the 20th? What were you doing? It was a crazy day in Africa in general. 5 countries went to protest, and the similarities within that. People want better lives, and they believe that the government is not doing enough.
Much for them.
Yeah, well, in Kenya, Senegal, Tunisia, South Africa. People went out and they made their voices heard.
Yeah. I was at home. I was watching a lot of news channels, and I was also on YouTube. I was scared to go to the protest and Phonoposis because I'd read on some statuses go Facebook go deploy my Joni, and my feeling was that then it might get out of hand because so and whatnot. Otherwise, I am a protester and when I believe in the cause, I'm there with them. I was protesting with the students. Kufis must fall. I was there for the Omotoso trial.
You followed that.
I was there every day. I took the people out of church. There was a particular Sunday where we had to go see Bakupe Tsawenba. And it was cons. I got to Teddy, Abana Wednesdays and whatnot. So I was a part of that. I remember telling my mom how excited I was. Mama, Papa, Daddy, Tina Nati, oh, Daddy, Wama Simba, Daddy. And what Lele 2 years done? So for me, I really would have loved to have been part of the march, but Ben so you got shaman phone processor because when shit hits the fan, situations as in Jayana, is gonna wanna save themselves. Or shaking this team to Milepa like, hey, where's everybody gone? Yeah. So I thought, let me just be safe in the busy, no landel and what's going on. Otherwise, I was a part of it in spirit.
There was like huge predictions from the upper structures. Uba, this is going to be violent and these guys must be charged for inciting violence. Was there any violence anyway?
But who really was inciting violence?
The people that incited violence from all the videos that I saw on Twitter, and people can go and check those videos on Twitter, were the police.
You know, it
I think that what are the chances that story to tell?
Like during the lockdown, the guy that was sitting in his yard and the soldiers killed him.
Yeah, and so bias are puffed up already. I don't think there was a need for that. I think though it was a waste of resources. They should have just allowed Abantu to protest. I think as much as it was under the banner of the EFF, this was a protest that was for the people who really see the state of the country.
Nhlanhla takes the cup.
Oh Lord, guys, what's happening with him though? We are Nhlanhla. Hey, I think I followed every podcast on Nhlanhla's wife featurisha kuyo. Waqala waya ku MacG and then wa interview shwa DJs. I'm like, yes, I'm following. Ndiyakhangela izinto zakhe ko ETV be featurisha kuzo interviews and whatnot because I understood what he was saying. But to realize about ingathu self-centered.
Yeah, I think
too self-absorbed.
I think most of the people, Abapa, you know, he noted himself this time.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Oh no, da.
Yeah, I know he noted himself. You know, you have these people about quick black consciousness who are self-absorbed. Probably Andile Mutama. You know, he might be going through the route because I always find it interesting that as someone who wants to mobilize the community and whatnot, you then find it hard to work with some of the people who I would say are engaged in the same work that you're doing, you know? So instead of having or Tutula Baninzi or all these other things that's gone, yeah. That will help everyone. You know, so but I think what EFF planned and what they stood for, and for some reason we didn't have load shedding.
Oh, come yeah. They're not supposed to
at all.
So what happened? How did they pull that one?
I don't know. It's either bayasibhanqa ngokuthi akhombane okanye bayasisacrifice ngosityela umbane ngoku and later we'll discover that uphelile umbane siku day of darkness. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the two things that bayasibhanqa umbane ungafumaneka okanye baxolele uba singabi nawo for that particular week kube mnyama qha kunoba bathi give into the EFF.
And that thing was not about the party, but then you needed someone who will take initiative.
That's what I'm saying. It was not really for EFF.
You know, when the president will come and say, in 99, we had 2.5 million people with social grants, and today over 18 million people are receiving these grants. And you are saying this as an achievement.
Is he trying to say we're successful as a government?
Yes.
Because 18 million people are dependent on us.
On grants.
18 18 million more people
you
have been
had
made poor.
2.5 million people who depended on grants in 99. 20 years later, you have
Added more poor people.
More than 18 million people dependent on that. And then you are talking about a country that was marketed as land of possibilities and all of that. Man, bekuchiwo nyani sham, yes.
Kuti hayi qala.
Guys,
must vibrate his way.
Sometimes you must speak as a politician. A politician starts everything with no. No, I agree.
Tyler, I read his status as Tyler on Facebook, I think on Tuesday late.
Just to bring it back to the people, Tyler on Facebook.
Yes.
Sing
Tyler. He never thought he would see the day where
Sorry.
I was just giving it a beer, so it's like
grab a banana.
Obesity, he didn't think that he would see the day, especially now, where a protest that is organized for the middle class is declined by the same middle class in protection of big business.
Come on.
Yeah. I think what pained me the most is when Julia said, police are proud of the fact that they arrested 25,000 tires.
I don't think I was around. You know, when you are there,
no.
Effects because minister.
So 25,000. I think for me, what bothered me about that is you've literally closed so many black small businesses for this one day just to ensure that all these white businesses are opened. That's what they did, right?
But that's how government led to. I mean, remember when there were those strikes that were apparently started because of Uzuma, but we know that there's a whole lot of other things that influenced as strikes, got the Wachisi malls and whatever. Remember there's a
KZN thing.
Yes. Remember there was izinto beziphumile phaya ukuze ide ibe yaphela la case ukuba ubanibani is under this white business, ubanibani is under the Ramaphosa, sponsor sakhe ngbanibani, ubanibani sponsor sakhe ngbanibani. So basically the people that run the country is the big white business. Essentially.
Hi, in the upset
It's the South Africa that we live in. You know, I always say with 76, for an example, they always talk about 76 as this golden year. Youth came out, protested and whatnot because they don't want Africans. And I feel for us, we felt that was an achievement. And we still feel like that. But I feel that was the first step towards greater things. Because now you are choosing a better devil. You say no to Africans and you say yes to English. Now we are in a space apho zonke izinto ezibalulekileyo zithethwa ngolwimi lakude. Ndiyazama ke nami ngokuba ndingathethi into ezibalulekileyo andiva ndizapha esiXhoseni yabo. So
ungabikho myopic.
Ayadika le nto. Ayadika. So we inherit everything, singakhange analyze it properly, and we make it a thing, and we run to social media. The more followers you have, the more uzawubonakala ingathi ilizwi lakho liyavakala. Even though at times what you are saying, ayibambeki, we can poke holes le way uyithethayo. So, but that's where we're at as a country. And as long as we uyisebenzisa le 29 years to actually bring our value back and invest in ourselves, in our culture, and make it a thing. We just inherited as a structure, sipa, abapambili, they demanded shares or however they did it. They still progressing the same white-orientated world in Africa. So that's the problem that we have. And the problem in Dala, because we still think Go 76 we conquered when we didn't.
London ndithanda uyithetha that sometimes sifuna ukuthi xa sidila ne historical imbalance ne sifuna uyoyibamba ezincanjini sometimes kanti ingcambu zayo zinwenwile.
Yes.
Right? Colonialism. Ne? Yiyo le musuthetha ngayo ngoku. The roots are far and wide. Ufumanisa uba ngoku when we have these conversations ukhona lo uyi-one unobutubete uzawufika athi uba ke andiyifuni colonialism khululani ezibhahlane ezinxibileyo.
That is so dumb.
Andimcakela uzathi banonxiba isibheshu. That's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about finding ourselves and rebuilding who we are after the storm. Now that we realize that we've been colonized, what are the lessons we've learned from being victims of colonization and also from being beneficiaries of colonization? What can we take forward with us and what can we leave behind? Uyabo, ngamanye amaxesha sizenza minute izinto. Ngamanye amaxesha sizenza too wide, zingakwazi uresolveka. Kanti sometimes i-resolution kukuthi the roots of this tree are far and wide, but the fruits are still growing. Which fruit are we taking with us? Which are we not?
Yes. And you know, there's another thing in Warashai. The 21st of March is known as Human Rights Day. And historically it's not. I understand into yobangabana bafuna kuthiwa into Orlando to the lowest decimal kuthiwa they want to round off the thing to the lowest decimal. So these people here were fighting for human rights, but call it Sharpeville Massacre Day, so that what happened on the day ayilibaleki, because now it becomes we live in a country where there's Joburgization of history and ancification of history.
Hey, son. Joburg what? Joburgization and ancification.
Yes.
Okay.
Because izinto ezininzi acknowledgewayo.
The struggle belongs to the ANC.
There was nothing happening in other pockets of the country. One. Okwesibini, things that get acknowledged zibekwe phana zithe fumaniseke uba ziyasupportwa zizinto ezibhekishwe yi-ANC.
Sorry, ndicela ubuza nje ilanga massacre yona, did it happen on the same day? 21st. I mean, not necessarily on 1952, but at a different time. But it was still the 21st of March. Am I correct?
It's the same
okay.
day.
Okay.
In August.
Yeah, did 52? I'm 1960 Sharpeville massacre.
Yeah, 1960.
Mess.
In August 1985, I think the date was the 21st. There was a massacre in the Eastern Cape.
Are you sure?
In a Duncan village.
Okay.
You don't hear about that anyway. There are a lot of people who died in that. Bullhook massacre. Happened in Queenstown, Kwelka Kejavu. You don't hear about that being spoken about it.
Also,
anyway.
didn't something happen up at South End? I don't know if it was around the same time, but like that whole area, isn't it why it's almost like a heritage site kind of vibe?
Oh, it was the Group Areas Act situation.
It was a cosmopolitan society. People lived together. They went to the same school, which did not work for whoever was at helm. And then some were taken to the northern areas. And then that's when New Brighton was born, Netasi, Nendon, Ezazin.
Red location vibes.
Yeah, so because they didn't want people being together, which I do not understand.
Look, guys, it was the whole point here, segregation. So see, understand it, Tina, because we are not the ones who conceived apartheid, and the need to segregate. So, but that was the reasoning. Separate development of people.
I want to go back to what Utamaki was talking about leading into this. Yokuba, why are we changing the names to Human Rights Day when it was a massacre at a certain place? And when he was saying that, I was thinking, Uba, going back to what you were saying before that, Uba, whose government is it? Well, you didn't say that, but like, whose government is it? Because who's telling our history? I did a few modules as a politics at university. in politics at university, right? And the history that is being told, you can tell that it is the history that is being told by white people that are wanting to hide what exactly happened, right? And even if you look at the ANCification of our history, there are also, because those ANC people that are in power now are still working with those same people that were the people in charge at that time, right? So now, izinto ezenzekileyo at that time, they must look a certain way so that they can feed a certain scope.
Yeah.
Not that it's the history of South Africa.
Two things that I just want to say. Kulendo ANCification. To this day, to this very day, I am always wondering why a commemoration your life ka Steve Biko is not in the national calendar. It's been forced in by, obviously, institutions like the Steve Biko Foundation, Azapo, and whatnot. But still today, no proper recognition is given to that day in September. It bothers me. But the point I'm yoqala nje kule ANCification, Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe is also in there. We don't even have a right?
voice print.
Yeah. Secondly, it's a question I've always had, conversation that always runs in my head. If history, hey, bisano chukla article ye BBC, dicane recognize the mna.
Yes.
Koti we BBC. Okay. Yes. So my thing is this: if the tellers of the story are the victors, when we look at the state of things as they are today and we question who's telling the story, will we come out and say we are the victors? Okay.
No. We didn't win anything. We surrendered. We surrendered. Sorry. We surrendered. Because throughout these CODESA negotiations and whatnot, it was more important to comfort the perpetrators.
That's why then we've got Human Rights Day.
So whatever you were saying, akufunekanga man uba upastion afile. That's why as ixesha lihamba they were able to say get over it.
That's why we uncingisela ngoma kaThandi Ntuli, hey? That song. This is what, sorry, the end I lost go kundi voice kaThandi Ntuli engqondweni yami. Yabona lando writing of history or telling of the story by the victor is something that, I'm going to say this again, we do need to interview Abantu Development Agency because the work that they do speaks directly to what we're talking about yet again. When we did a project, History Reimagined, the politics of space and identity. When we focused on those politics of space and identity, the question was one. The city of Gqeberha, as one example, is filled with memorabilia of colonization.
Abandu said, "You're giving me Manchester feeling like the Govan Becky Avenue."
Okay. So,
Bars.
where we're going now, it's a question of reimagining history. What are we to do with the statues that exist that remind us of our past? And what are we to do about the telling of our story as the victors when we can't see ourselves in the streets we walk? As the statues zethu.
Yes.
When the MPDA said conversations with Victoria and put Steve Biko Nobani facing Queen Victoria from the City Hall, that project was soon removed, and we don't really know why. To create Lendo that's ongoing, where we can see ourselves and experience ourselves in the space, right? And the question remains, what happens to these statues? Because the question was put on the table, what happens to Sharpeville Massacre? What happens to the 21st of March when it comes to celebration? And some lone white voice said, maybe change the name so that we can all move towards healing and come back and call it Human Rights Day. But Tina, we are still holding on because now we've removed the pain for the white person, right? But Queen Victoria,
you know, I think it will be important to interrogate interrogate the move to conceive into Bangoku Sizakwenza statue Skaban. What informs that idea of having a statue there in the first place? Because remember, if you watch these old movies and all these things, so what they do when they go to a place and conquer a place, they erect a flag. This is to say now, this is the extension
Of our territory.
So the statues mean the same thing. So when you remove them, you're saying it's no longer your territory. And when there's someone opposing this and saying you are erasing our history, I say your history is traumatic. It traumatizes us. We are traumatized by this thing. This thing must be removed. And you have abantu who support that. Even nabantu abamnyama into ba eza statue zabapha. I suppose ba umepha lasisi. I went to Dikene. Is it Alice?
Yes.
Alice. I went to Alice. It was my first time. So doing a broadcast corner. It's an OB. So I was like, okay, cool. I've never been in the space, ne? And man, this is a very small town. So I'll walk it. Yeah, and the perks of being on radio is they don't know your face like that. Yeah, so I walked around. Yeah, people who listen to radio will know you, but you're not on TV. So yeah, but Akuzobako Halabalu when you walk those streets. So I walked the streets and I read up on the history of the space. And for me, it was fucked up because the whole place, for it to be Alice, Indombi ka Queen Victoria. Okay. It is very, it's European in everything. And for me, as a township boy, and this is what I've known, township, urban life. And I've always thought to myself, the further in you move, the more authentically closer you will find the space.
That's so funny. Because I come from Nhlanhla. That is so funny.
Yes.
That is not true at all.
And when you get there, you like, what the fuck?
Not at all.
I went to this place, Frankfurt.
I'm from Port Edward.
Yeah. This other time, we got a puncher in some place, Suka, Ngobo, some. It's like, what's the name of the place? Go to Kwasmith, Ditinjan, Kwasmith, Apes Lalin.
Do you know what's worse though, Kim? You know what's worse, Kim? What's worse is when even when it's an indigenous language title that is given. For instance, where I come from, kusembizana is in unopotwana, a small pot,
Yes.
but it's officially known as bizana.
Uh-huh.
So it's not even pot banbani or whatever, but it's still wrong because what is a bizana? In this impondo, in this xhosa, in this hlubi, in this bhaca, in loni bizana, there's no such thing, and no one will ever change that.
And siyoyika thina to say the wrong thing. You know, we always want to be politically correct, diplomacy, and all these things. And I feel in us trying to be diplomatic and all of these things, there's a lot of shit that we put under the carpet, and we are compromising the future.
Ourselves.
We're killing ourselves, bro. Like, we're killing ourselves for what? Why are we doing it? How does it benefit you? Ba ipizana, imbizana kuthiwe ipizana, imbizana mostly. Imbizana le.
Kaloku enye into sifunda kwaba phambi kwethu. Yabo. So siyifundile compromise, siyifundile sacrifice, siyifundile how to negotiate at our own expense and not necessarily always in our favor. We are here because of such talks. Yabo. So nathi we will hamba ngolo hlobo. Yabona la nto sizaba ngabo bantwana bamuva ngolo hlobo because sifundiswa ngolo hlobo. Do you get what I'm saying? Abantu abasikhokheleyo before, that's what they've taught us at the end.
Thank you. Okay, Javna is refilling. Otis akazophinda afumane commentary. Yobangabana nanko ofuna ugalelelwa awutodoni.
Oh man, OG, let's highlight OG, man. We need to invite him to come through though, okay? We need to invite him to come through. He's giving a lot of confidence in us to carry on and do this thing. He's showing us ukuthi someone out there believes in us, and that's really important. That even if it's one person, it's more than enough for us. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
So I want guys there, like with what we are talking about. I also, you know, when you go through a traumatic experience as an individual, they take you to therapy.
Yeah.
So that you can try to heal. National. Never going a therapy. Abantu abavuswe ekuseni ufika amabhulu kwenzeke ezazinto. There's never been a deliberate thing yoba ngabana le way mayenziwe. Now there's there's this point I want to make. You see Nkululeko. Shout out to Nkululeko on culture.
Yes.
Nkululeko, there's a clip that was circulating. In that clip, Nkululeko uthi, he is a product of rape. Umamakhe was raped and then kwavela yena. Hence, guys, aborta man.
Yeah.
Probably Umamakhe was coming from a Christian and whatnot, but one day Sawhlala naye Nkululeko, and then we'll be able to talk about his story. I think
but no, there's a Nkululeko that you're giving birth to.
Yes, you see? And then Oti, he does not remember umama wakhe giving him a hug. Imagine that. And I cannot really blame umama wakhe because mhlawumbe Nkululeko every time embona,
this is the product of her trauma.
Esithini esenza anything. And it's unfair on Nkululeko as well. Because he's such a great guy.
It would have been tragic.
And he didn't choose to be here either.
Yeah. So that's South Africa, and Nkululeko becomes those statues.
I had a very childish, and I think in my head I still ask that question like that because from when I was very young, my dad is an artist, but he's very politically whatever. So like these conversations at home and stuff. And I've always asked Ukuba, when it comes to reconciliation and stuff, who said sorry to who and who said I forgive you? because it wasn't the people in that office or in that boardroom that were hurt. It was the whole country. So who said, I am sorry, this is what I did, I am taking accountability, this is what I made you guys go through, this is what I can do to remedy the situation. And then who said, oh, okay, we are taking what you are saying, we forgive you, we can work on. Who said yes and no? Like, in a reconciliation, who was part of it? Except for those big people. Did they even consult the country? Did the country actually go through a reconciliation, Yona?
No.
And the country, I don't know if the country has done man. In my head, I'm thinking, Senate Day of Reconciliation.
Yeah.
That is in December, right? But we never really take advantage of the actual meaning of it. I know that now, historically, it's something totally different. But if it's called the Day of Reconciliation, wouldn't it be nice if those who are privileged historically could invite some of us who are,
I know, first and foremost,
underprivileged historically, and try to extend
to
reconcile, to recognize that their privilege is at the expense of our prosperity, our flourishment.
No, fuck reconciliation.
Wouldn't that be nice?
No, fuck reconciliation day.
Oh, so
no, fuck reconciliation day. It is not reconciliation day. It is a day where 3,000 Zulu warriors were killed. Reconciliation is on the 16th, right?
Yes.
Of December. 3,000 warriors, Zulu warriors were killed. So before it was called a reconciliation day, it was called the Day of the Vow. So this is a public holiday that we inherited from our oppressors. It is a day where before they went to war with the Zulu warriors, because before that,
did they take a vow?
And then they said, we will make this a holy day and we will dedicate this to our God. If our God help us win against these black savages. They went out, battle as a cousin and whatnot, and they killed those.
Black River,
and then it was put in our calendar as a public holiday. We have redirected it, season, lighting of the lights. It's a day of reconciliations when the festive starts, and. But we are not talking about the shit that really happened on the day. Fuck, our black people were killed.
I did not even know that.
You must know.
I am 2 years old.
I
didn't know about the day at Blood River was on the 16th of December. Mostly that's when they were coming, because they went to KwaZulu. They got defeated because of the mountains, and then they went back, and then then Bawina. So it's that. I did not know that. It wasn't that time of the year.
As a lot of people don't know that shit.
A lot of people don't know it, and a lot of people have forgotten it. I'm one of those.
You will forget it because it's being redefined, and then you say all these nice things, and then it will definitely.
But also, ikhona lando ba history yaziwe ibaliso ithini. But also within that, ikhona la need to show that we've healed, not that that time has come yet. Iwariam is that we'll never reach that point of healing, ne? For as long as even our South African history, Ephondweni, is not reflective of the information that you're sharing right now. We'll never get to that point, because it's all good and well singers light is sitini, but we need to connect it with what actually happened on the day. To say right now we're at a point where siyakwazi ukuthi celebrate uqala kwesizini entsha ukuthini because we've come as far as ABC. Do you know what I mean? To be able to connect the two, to be able to really create a situation where we are transitioning from remembering this day as imini yegazi to remembering it as imini yoku reconcile. Did you get what I'm saying? I think that's where that's the one thing that we're failing to do currently as a country.
We are failing to, and we're gonna teach our kids, isn't it, as ngezizo, because we are not truthful. You understand? You can forgive, but don't forget what happened, because this now becomes part of your identity.
Otherwise, we'll repeat it.
Oh, as a kid, grew up not knowing my dad, not because maybe the nigga was not gonna be in my life, but the nigga died. He's all cleaner up at Chevrolet Stadium up in New Pride, because about quick match, someone puts a petrol bomb and nigga trying to save himself. He falls, he hits in down, he jumps, he falls, and then abeteke wrong. He dies on the spot. So whether I was out in Nandandi during that time,
Part of your history, though.
but it became part of my identity because I grew up without a dad. So the narrative now is our push in media that black fathers are not present because they deadbeat. Nigga, that's not truth. This nigga was killed.
Funny, I was thinking about the conversation we were having last week, and then I think some time ago in one of the episodes, I think you mentioned something about how it's now black men against black women. If you think about the humiliation that black men went through in front of their families at that time, could be very reflective of how black women perceive black men and how black men perceive black women now.
We're still humiliating them.
Because we are still humiliating each other.
Bro, niggas.
Xolo wethu nje ndifuna ukhaleza khona into endifuna uyihoya undishiye kulaa kona yebhomba.
Yes.
Ndakhaleza ndacinga uNhlanhla lakhe sebengabhombishwanga.
Man bekhwinja phaa ebirumbini.
What?
Kwathini?
Kaloku uthe yinantsika yena ibhomba. And then the neighbors were shattered. And then Griselda was like, hey, you saw a facial expression. It's like, what? What? We are here. It's like Nsika saying, Yonke was damaged because we were for now seeking relevance.
Hey, kulinde kulaa kona yebhomba. Hey, khona umuntu obhombishiweyo.
There were 2 bombs. Enye ibithwe phezu kwendlu. But then yarola. And then yayiwa. Ecam kwenantsika. Kuthiwa into lento ezibane essentially is it called street lamps. But then it did not damage the street lamp. Iye yavula umnxunya phaa ecam kwasa street lamp. The other bomb.
Kodubula kwayo.
Okay. It's just a very cute Nancy.
Ebeyibone phi yena le bomb bisehla?
Bengekho.
Uvile.
But uyayazi uba kwenzeke ntoni. Nguye we-articulator. They did not give a chance to people ebebekhona ngelaa xesha la bomb birola. He knows everything ngoku ebengekho because yena ebeyotutula the red nose. Red nose.
Ndisiva ngathi ngoku ndinguCriselda.
He's looking at you like you're Griselda.
Ndiyayiqonda ukuba ingathi ndibuCriselda rha because ndiyayivela lensiniyenze kayibetha. Ndim lo ingxaki apha.
Siqhele kakubi mamhlanje.
Nhlanhla.
Siqhele kakubi Nhlanhla man. If he wants that thing, he must just bomb his house, okay? Yabo. Ayibombe kakhe so that sikwazi ubelieve. Yabo, because okokoko manje ethetha ngomalema uyabuza who's that thing. Umalema just refuses to engage the guy.
Yeah, kumnandango ignore wakhe.
And he hates it.
Kumnandango ignore. No, he's proving himself to be quite bordering mhlambi because anzokwazi udiagnose is bordering a bit on narcissism, attention seeking.
Controversy bit.
Yes, abafuna uplita abantwana bamo, abafuni shem uplitwa nyana. I had a nice conversation with the girls zakumyalezo. And we're talking kumnandi man, your attention nice le yabona lana akuthiwa uzawuvuma wonke umuntu oplitayo umzekelo yabona lana, but come on, khawupliteke khaw entertain lo muntu uplitayo ummame
lemilo kanye ndiva ndihleli phansi.
That's not the plito we get. You see, I am glad you're making that reference because that is not the mplito we get in. We
Ah,
unfuck Okanye and Cooper. That's not the mplito we get.
No, look, in Ansika,
Nina nifuna ubuliswa nina and nifuna type zenu cause inibleed. Ayikanjalo.
You guys, I
Abantwana
keep saying that you guys, you don't understand that you guys, we do not have the same experiences and you are always going to stay in your corner because the experience that you guys have with each other, especially the two of you guys, because those are the people that I have conversations with. Mamela. Y'all grew up kind of together, ne? Like, especially from like your 1920, ban,
what the
right?
fuck?
What do you mean 1920?
Years, Kalogo as teenagers, young
not talking
people.
about the year
My man,
1920.
no, not the year. No, not the year, right?
Yeah.
So
just know how
the
you
energy,
Listen.
the energy that you guys grew up with, and now I'm going to talk about the art spaces because that's what I know as well. It is definitely different from the spaces that now we are experiencing. So the mplito that you are talking about, when of a men really trying to make themselves nice and cute and the coolest to you, is not the same experience we are having in our spaces.
Uthetba throughout nje elifini yakho akhona ukupleasayo for.
We have had this conversation. I
because-
told you Zulu men do it for me. Because they know how to just talk. Literally just talk.
Uplita is a mind game. And I need to, Uplita is me as a guy showing you how my mind works. Kate, and all of that. So it becomes a mix of everything. Where like those you're really making the first impression type of a shit and whatnot. And you guys don't want to be plitted, shelat, kulwat, like guys.
Now, apparently,
these kids don't know nice things.
honestly, I do feel that it might be because of everything else that has been put out in your faces about who men are and who women are and right?
Yes.
But you find that you guys are not comfortable with ukulitwa. And anthethe ngicaphelisha nto ndithetha ngento wehle eteksini i-boys zimile koneni uyagqitha athomnye sister cela undilinde udikwa kwakukulinda.
Mamela ke mama. Let me talk about my experiences, name. I'll make one when I was in high school. I'm going to say high school because Pago stand at 6, Banbande 1. And then another one, a general one, like Kuteta Muguba, Tibane Nomtu Paya, Ati, hey, ma apo. Say you don't say anything, you just don't ma. Right? Next thing that comes through, hey, nane kiss my tolo again. Choy kiss my tolo, na kwati, nisbunza ngati zispili, blah 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 blah. Butamani yakufuna, yeah. Number 2, there's boys that would put ispili under my chair eskolweni, right? And then when you confront them about that, it's like, oh no, I am just doing that because I like you. Like, that's the experiences that now we have that you guys might not have because our generations are different in that way. Also, even the feminism in our generations is different. So now I understand, Ukuba, the boys might also be interacting with the type of feminism and women that are at this generation. We are not the same. The experiences are not the same.
Porn. Yeah, and
You see,
this kids
it's
grew up
not
on
the
porn.
same, guys.
This kids grew up on
Guys,
porn,
come on,
and
pin and check.
porn was very accessible. Tina Scope was the best porn. Born in Mnanam. Tatela inansika iscope sakho usibeke usifake phansi komatras unala way yakho pha. Hustler was very explicit. Into yevideo uyayazi ba kuthiwa evidweni uzawubuka xa uzawubukela iblue move awukho kwi-age yobukela wena iblue move.
Kukutheni nani ngaligqibezeli igama nisoloko nisithi iblue move?
Iblue move man ayisozoyilungisa ngoku iblue move guys. Thina sibancinci sobukela iblue move because sibukele iblue move sawuqhawuka imithambo. So yika loo nto. Very respectful generation.
No, but ndiyafuna shem ukutsho ke zamani and to your guys' generation that kumnandi kuplito. Mna, I used to enjoy going to the club, the night club that is.
Yeah.
I would feel bad xa ngingaplitwanga mna. I don't want to lie. I would feel terrible because
ubeka istena kuthini wake wasibeka istena elifini yakho.
As in
zange wasibeka istand bawuyazi
master builder.
bayino
Oh.
hey abantwana I have not lived
Kaloku thina sazayicinga.
bekela ustena
stand.
uhambe ngomso uvasi uyoqhekeza istena mntanam.
You see, that's the thing. For instance, last year, I was working with this guy who I didn't even know that he liked me. What I know is that I'm a hugger. Yeah, well, this guy just went for my butt and squeezed it. He doesn't even know my name.
Eyena kukuthinda, kukugrinda, kukhondondoni.
You see, the experience is not the same because the generations are very different. So when at the Mplito you were talking
eyena
about...
bangaba badate ngoWhatsApp bathandana ngoske bathumelelana red heart sekuvunyelwe ngenxa ye red heart. Like, what is a red heart?
You put a like on my status, I DM you.
Yaqala kumixit la.
You see?
Sathi mngena umixit.
Ndandikhona mna kumixit.
Sathi mngena umixit.
Ngoba
Anongena umixit.
kodwa khona ku-WhatsApp ngoko.
Hayi kaloku WhatsApp ngoku.
Ithumela wena red heart.
Ngezinye izinto ngoku nathi sine group yasephondweni pha ukhetha.
But uyayithumela red heart.
Nendoni. Ezikhona man ezakho. Mna bendithi
Uyayithumela red heart.
Webe ndiyayithumela pha iphefumule pha.
Red heart xa uyithumela wasephefumulayo.
No kaloku xa iphefumula mos I send my red heart to my kids and whatnot and bayandibetha ngelanguage beka omnye wabhala ndiyazi ntontoni hey ndiyabuza ndathi hey mntanam una-11 was ndathi mntanam ithetha uthini le nto wathi hayi dad you don't know wandixelela uba ithini laa nto.
Kukho ixesha kwakubhalwa ucool abhalwe CWL. Xa uzawubhala uschool ufaka u-S pha phambi ko-C.
There's LIB kuthiwa lying in bed.
Lying in bed.
Oh, wow.
JC just sitting.
Just chilling kaloku
Just
JC.
chilling. Yo.
WW Jason.
As a result, I
I
hate
don't know.
I
I do
hate-
not
WWD,
know abbreviations.
what you
of the-
doing?
Oh, what you doing?
I
don't
hate
know
shorthand.
abbreviations.
I don't understand.
I don't
shorthand.
respond to shorthand.
I always tell my kids when you guys speak to me, write in full. Because that also is going to teach you language.
Yewe. But for mna ke ngoku kube ngoku kuplitwa ngoWhatsApp. Digauge pha uba ayona type yestena le. Digauge pha. Mbona pha kwi-language qonba no near.
Okay.
Ayiyo le.
I think we can call it a day. Whoever's watching the episode, snambeka liste.
Masobe
I've been a
smooth. But Mamela, I did want to come and be sitting on the way you're bleeding. I do want us to invite lady Destar, Dintsu, DDM, Menen.
Destar.
Yes, I'd love us to have a conversation with her.
Okay.
She's always been on my Facebook.
What interests you so much was why should we speak to her?
Uyi gold digger.
Okay.
Ne uyatsho pha
She
ba
says
uyi
yena
gold digger. No,
ngokwakhe.
she does.
Okay.
And I think your opinions are interesting because some of them does understand ezinye understand but the finish ba ngamanye amaxesha uba ngathi opinion yakho ibeka as a fact.
Okay.
And I feel that bakhona abantu abazamamela bamfile bamfollowisha even more. She's got about 80,000 followers on TikTok. She's an influencer. She's getting deals to endorse certain products and so uyaqhuba wethu. She's a girl from P.
I
So-
know she was a fashion student.
Yeah, I think I first bumped into her nango ukuze ndiyazi ba ukhona ku Facebook wam. There was a one of Daily Beloved bethu owasoleka ngoku uVJJ had passed on.
Okay.
And they were friends no VJJ. So she spoke a lot on how hurt she was and whatnot. And then realize ngoku ke sekukho into zo TikTok nondoni ba hey man she talks on Facebook. If you're a man and you are getting assistance from your woman financially, you're gay. She does not believe in women aba assist amadoda financially or men who are not rich or men who are poor. Now she believes a man must provide for the woman at all times in all situations and circumstances. So because I'm a fan kaKhanyimba umzekelo, but I'm not really a person who learns a lot from Kanyimba, besides the fact that so I'd love to have a conversation with her and see how she wears this label ka gold digger with so much confidence and yeah, what we can learn from that conversation.
Zamani and Chris will make that happen.
Make it happen, guys. It'll be nice.
I think the last point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what happened 7 days before Asoleko VJJ?
What had happened?
Have was doing the things we do esquaring.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a nigga who died. Pansko Motoka VJJ.
Oh,
then
Lord.
Sipana Pakati Tina, it was raining that day. And then I think Kwaku performer that day, who's this guy from a Motherwell? Pepula, no more Wara. Yes, Wara genre. And then so Wara comes in, frantic, takes the mic. Oh, guys, someone just got shot. You know, so this person was shot, and then he tried to hide. Pansko Moto, JJ, and then that person died there because there was nothing that could be done. She could not move the car or anything because it was going to violate the crime scene and whatnot. But eventually that guy died. We stayed with them up until everything was resolved. You know what I mean? Because I felt, but and then I remember us speaking after that, but okay, are you cool? Because I don't think it was an ordinary thing to have someone dying under your car. And she was like, yeah, besiza mileno oletu uhamba siyovasa moto and whatnot. And a week later that she
just
died,
passed
for
on.
me, it was death was just following.
What a beautiful soul. What a beautiful soul. High energies all the time. And I remember I'm listening to a lot of videos as I post to Lenduka, go DDM about their relationship Novisisa. And I actually got a lot of my experience Novisisa because we went, she wasn't my person, but she respected me a lot. She was excited to be part of a fashion show I was going to host on behalf of the MPDA. So she was just always in high energies and excited to do more and be part of a lot of things that are happening in PE. So it was very sad to hear of her passing. And I don't know, I'm glad that we're actually mentioning her today because it goes to show that those that we have shared space with, we don't ever forget. They always live with us. So I guess we can just say shout out to the spirit of VJJ and you know, all the others who have passed on. Moments will come when we'll always remember you. So ndicela sibize DDM on that note.
Okay. No, we'll do that. People will do. Peace. What is Bon Jovi? See you next time.
Wow, this guy's old.